Welcome back to some more tips for players who used to be somewhat new but are learning more things and want to find out more than what I had in my previous video. If you didn't see that video, check the link in the description down below to catch up on that. So the very first one is when you're on the anomaly, there is a very cool feature that you can get called rocket boots for your jetpack that allows you to propel forward really quickly. And also this is a shortcut on how to get up here quick and easy, by the way, in case you didn't know. But when you do come up here in the anomaly, there is the section over here on the left at the back, Iteration Selene. And when you speak to this NPC, you'll be able to get rocket boots, an upgrade that you can build with hydraulic wiring and tritium, which is pretty convenient to get and build and really saves you so much trouble because you can't melee boost in space, but you can double tap spacebar and then suddenly hold W key to burst forward very quickly. Now, if you don't know how to get the hydraulic wiring, you can always go ahead and learn the recipe from this machine over here, where it will require carbon nanotubes, salt, and dihydrogen. The hardest thing to get there is the salt, which is not even that hard. Now, in my previous video, there was another tip that people shared, and that was the placement of technology in the things that you install. For example, in my exosuit, if you go ahead and you put all the jetpack modules and all the installations here next to each other, they actually deform like a outline of sorts that boosts it even further. For example, you can see these jetpack ones are in yellow, but if I go ahead and I move this one and I put it in a position that's not next to one, it doesn't have an outline anymore. That means it's not getting like an additional boost. I don't exactly know how it's boosting because it doesn't really change the numbers on the thing, but people told me it boosts it because it's like all, compacted together. It just doesn't seem to represent on the actual information that's shared on the module itself. Now, you may already have noticed, but there are plenty of planets that are covered mostly in water and might sometimes require you to go into water. So this next upgrade idea or tip, is the Aqua Jets, which allows you to do aquatic landing, which lets you just park your ship on top of water. So anytime you have to go in the water here or you're looking for something specifically in water, this upgrade module is going to save you a ton of time. To get this technology on your starship, you will have to go to the anomaly. And then you're going to head to the research stations where you learn all the new research, and you're going to go to the Starship one, which is the first one on the left, Iteration Hyperion, and you'll see there's an option to learn Aqua Jets, which is crafted with magnetic resonators, antimatter, and crystal sulfide, which is more than often found in oceans and water. So you might have to search some oceans and water for crystal sulfide before you can craft this thing. But once you do, landing on water is just going to be a breeze. The next tip I want to talk about is something that's really handy. It's also a starship technology, and this is for every time you use your launch thrusters. Now, I'm sure you've probably noticed that every time you land and take off again, it consumes your launch thrusters, and sometimes this means that you run out of fuel. And this is especially bad when you are far away from your ship, because that means you cannot summon it when you have no fuel in your ship, right? So it's mainly for this purpose. If you didn't realize you ran out of fuel and you're trying to summon and it won't summon, you would have to walk back to wherever you parked your ship, and it might be miles away. But instead, you'll get this technology called the Launch Auto Charger. This basically means that when your ship is parked or when you're not flying your ship, the fuel in the launch thrusters is automatically charging over time. So it's kind of just doing its own thing. So no matter where you parked it, as long as you've been away for 10 minutes or so, you can literally just summon it. It will have enough fuel to come pick you up and land next to you. Now, the way you get this technology is by going to the anomaly, make your way to the technology area at the back, and the first NPC on the left is the one that you need to speak to over here. You'll find the launch auto charger right over here. This is the one. It's going to cost you antimatter, solar mirror, and wiring looms. Really easy to craft. Now, I never spoke about this in my previous video, but a great way to get nanites is by landing on different planets, going into your escape menu to discoveries, and you can see when you discover all of the fauna, which is all of the animals on a planet, you can see I'm on 8 out of 9, you can actually click this complete to receive a certain amount of nanites. The more animals you discover on the planet, the more nanites it will give as a reward. The less animals there are on the planet, the less the reward. For instance, there is the final one just across this hill, and if I go ahead and I scan this one, weird ass looking thing. And now if I go ahead and I go to escape, you can see I can get 2,250 nanites just like that. Super simple. I even got an achievement for it. Cool. My next tip is about scanning plants and stones on planets to know which ones you've scanned and which ones you haven't. Usually you just aim and you go like hold left click or something and it doesn't work. Another easy way to tell if you haven't identified something is if it doesn't have a name. If it just says unidentified plant, I can go ahead and I can scan it and you can get your money from it that way. It's a quick and easy way to tell if you've scanned something or not by just walking past it. And sometimes even the most meaningless looking stones that seem, super unimportant can be scanned to give you like, 54,000 credits. That's not bad. That's something you can scam to get money. Do you ever find yourself with wanted stars and the sentinels on your case and you cannot get away from them? There is a technology that is put on your exosuit that is going to make your life so much easier to run away whenever you want. Right? And this is called a cloaking device. You can see I have it at the top right of my screen here, and I can go ahead and activate this, and it literally makes you invisible as long as you're not using any jetpack or mining drills or anything. It does have a charge value, so it goes down. It takes about I think 13 to 14 seconds to deplete, and usually in this time you can gain some distance and get away from the sentinels just before they spot you. And that is how you can lose the wanted stars quite effectively so that they stop chasing you and that you can deactivate their force. To get the cloaking device, you will have to summon the space anomaly. You're going to head to the technology area at the back right over here, and you'll see by the multi-tool, this guy, right, this one, you'll see that you can get the cloaking device right over here very early on. Takes solar mirrors, ion batteries, and wiring looms to make, and it is the most effective way to get away from those sentinels every time they keep attacking you. Trust me, this thing is a no-brainer. You will have to install this on your multi-tool, and to use it for PC, you just basically click the mouse wheel to change between the different ammo types. For my next tip, it's going to involve getting suspicious technology or other technologies, such as the from, fighting, I guess, sentinels, or even pirates. Now, when you do find yourself getting suspicious packet of arms or things like this, all this new tech, and even the salvage glass from defeating sentinels, you'll see more often than not you will actually get technology that is forbidden or banned. Now, you can either use this for yourself if it's something that you want to use based on what it says. I will say that if you do install it, it does lose the value. You can see right now the value says 480 nanites for selling this one, and this one says 384. I don't need either of these two things right now. So what you're going to go ahead and do is head to the nearest space station, and quite simply you're going to head to any of the shop NPCs on the second floor. So you can go straight over here, doesn't matter which one of these guys you speak to, just speak to one of them. You're going to go into their store, and you'll see when you go to sell options, you'll now be able to sell these for those nanite amounts, right? You can literally get there I get 700 nanites for selling two technologies that I didn't want, which is great. You can also sell old technologies that you no longer want. For example, if you have weaker ones, like this B-class one over here, you can go ahead and store it by pressing the X key in this case, put it in your bags, and you can also sell this one, but it's going to be for a low value at 16 nanites, but at least it's something instead of just destroying it if you want to farm up some nanites and you're still in early game. Alright, so now let's talk about portals and glyphs, ways to access different unique planets from other players, maybe even from online. So you will have to search a bunch of space stations until you can find a very rare NPC, a traveler NPC. On the space stations, you'll be looking for an NPC who is very out of place. They glow and they're a traveler. They'll always have a very unique face that is not Gek, Viking, or Korvax. You'll spot them like this. It's very rare to see them. I think it's a 20% chance that you'll see them on a space station, so you'll have to visit many space stations. But when you go ahead and you speak to them, you'll finish dialogue the first time, but the second time you speak to them, you'll see there is a new option. You'll now be given the option to ask them where they came from. The second option is very important. It's going to have to give them 100 nanites, but they'll give you a location of a glyph, which is like a key for the portal, or at least one of 16 keys. I'll show you soon. This is going to put a mark on the map, and we can go ahead and make our way to that location. I made my way to the spot here, and this will be an unmarked grave, and when you go ahead and you interact with this, you'll be able to extract the glyph, and you can get out of 1 of 16 for this. Right now, I just collected 8 of 16. And you can always check how many you have by going to the escape menu, going to catalog, going to collected knowledge, and then you'll see at the atlas, portal glyphs, you can see which ones you have. I currently have the first 8. Now, this can take a bit of time to do, and maybe you can even use the teleport feature at bases to find other players', bases if they have glyphs hidden at their bases, or they made a nice teleport location. But so far, it takes a while to get them. Now, in terms of finding portals, this is something you'll have to find on planets either by random or by going to the cartographer on the space station. The cartographer will always be found at the bottom section, at the bottom right over here, where I'm heading right now. This one right over here. Now here you can exchange specific charts to find very specific locations. Now what you're going to be looking for is the planetary chart alien cartographic data. Now this isn't necessarily always going to be a portal. It's probably going to be a bunch of other things, but if we go ahead and we, select a couple of these, let's just go by maybe 7 of them. You'll then have this in your inventory that you can use to plot a route and hope that this takes you to a portal. Now, once you do find a portal, this is what it looks like. It is massive. It's very easy to spot when you're flying around and you fly near it. I do recommend building a base with a teleporter nearby so that you can always come back here in future, because you can always go ahead and use the portal multiple times. So you only ever need to find one. And then there will be a console over here. The first time you do this, you will have to repair all of the different 16 nodes, usually with really basic resources, so it's not impossible. And when you activate it, you'll see that you're given the option to use those glyphs that you can unlock to input a code. And this is going to be a 12-digit code in order to access a unique planet. It's like the ID number of every planet. And the way that you can see the ID number of any planet that you're on is if you go ahead and access the quick menu and you go to photo mode, you'll see the planet that you're on right now has its code at the bottom left of the screen. You can see exactly the planet I'm on right now. That's the code for this planet. Now, running off the back of our previous tip, we're going to use the portal to go to a planet where you can find curious deposits. This is another great way to get nanites. Quite simply, at the portal, you're just going to input a code where you require the first 2 glyphs. So it doesn't require a hectic amount of work. You're just going to put the bird 6 times, then the sunset, and then the bird another 5 times. And this will open up a portal to a planet where we can go ahead and get some curious deposits. Let's go run through the portal. Now, when you're on this new planet, the first thing you need to do is go ahead and access a teleporter. The quickest way we can do that is by flying to the space station. And now you're just going to head to the teleporter that is at the middle of the space station. This is a handy little tip that you can always use and always check the teleporter, because when you go to other bases, you'll often find other bases have farms for you. Either as a way to find other glyphs, like you can see this one over here. If you actually teleport there right now, you can already see the glyph in the picture. You can go there and collect a glyph for free, which is a nice way to collect glyphs that you might not have collected before. But the most common thing you're going to look for is things like this Nanites farm or runaway pickup, which we can both go to either of these. Even there's one mold farm over here. This entire planet is going to have a bunch of bases designed for this. Okay, so we teleported here in this base, and you'll see what we're looking at right now are these curious deposits. They're basically these balls that start rolling as soon as you try to mine them, and we're going to go ahead and use our mining beam and mine them. And the reward you get for this is runaway mold, and quite a lot of it. It is a great way to get nanites. It's going to take some time to process it. So just go ahead and harvest all of these. There we go. I got all of that, and you can see here, looks like we got almost 20,000 runaway mold. Now these, when you put them in your refiner, you can see here, this is going to go a 5-to-1 in order to make basically 2,000 nanites from this stack. This stack is going to give me 2,000 nanites. It's just going to take like 20 minutes, and you're going to have to fill up the fuel a lot. Otherwise, you can just build a ton of refiners at your base and just process them a lot quicker. And now you can just repeat the cycle by going to the space station, finding a teleporter, or even using one nearby to look for the next base that has runaway mold, and just keep teleporting to them until you collect so much runaway mold that you literally spend like hours turning it into nanites. And that is how you can get a bunch of nanites, like a lot. Now for my next tips, we're going back to the anomaly. At the anomaly, we're going to head to this thing over here in the middle called the Nexus. Now, at first, I never really interacted with this much, but if you didn't know, this is actually a quest hub where you can get some decent rewards. More so Quicksilver, which is a resource that you will want specifically for rewards that you can unlock at this little booth over here next to the staircase, or the ramp I mean, where you can go ahead and craft exotic items. You can go ahead and use this to unlock various different customizations, either for your character, for your base, or anything else really. In fact, most of the armor set that I'm wearing is bought with Quicksilver. So always make sure to check out these Nexus missions. They are multiplayer too, so you can let your friends join you and you do the missions with them, or random people too. For my final tip, this is something that I seemed to be struggling with quite a bit. Now this is the log, right? So if you go hit the escape menu, you go to your quest log, there are tons of quests. Like there's like the 3 major primary quests. So sometimes you'll reach a point where you cannot progress it any further, and you get like to a point where you're like, what do I do next? Now, this is important to always check and see the objectives of like, okay, cool, I can do this one. Cool, I can't do this one. Next Atlas station, I'll get to that one eventually, I guess. Or you can just track it and go into space with your galaxy map. Now you can go ahead and open up your galaxy map, and you can go ahead and you can look at these systems nearby, go into free zoom mode so that you can like look around, and you can see which systems might have certain kind of like buttons or like icons next to it. Like you can see this one in the distance over here has the icon for, I think it was the like one of the primary story quests, which means that if I want to continue that quest, going here is where I will be doing it, you know. So you can quickly figure out like what kind of system you're supposed to be on by using this map based on the icons and the quests that you have active. So if you're ever lost, always go through your quest log and check the galaxy map to see if any of the icons put you on any of the planets nearby. And those are all my extra tips. If you feel like I've left anything out of this video, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'll even make a third one as I learn more about this game, because I am only 35 hours into this playthrough of myself learning this game. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks for watching.